You're number one. And the whole area gets quiet. And I can just feel eyes stabbing me. Like I could feel negative energy and hatred of people who felt like I didn't deserve it. I could feel that energy. All right, part two. All right, because the video was long, I had to split it into two. I ain't want y'all to just be, you know. All right, so it's starting. Class is starting. So once I got put into the class leader position, I told myself that I could not be friends with anybody. I could not click up with anybody, because if I did, people were going to try to take advantage of my friendship with them, and they were going to try to cut corners. And if I didn't do that, then they were going to feel some type of way. I also didn't want anybody to think that I was playing favoritism, meaning if somebody wasn't doing what they were supposed to do and I had to check them, I wouldn't feel any type of way about having to do it because I'm not clicking with anybody. You know what I'm saying? So my advice as a leader, period, my advice is you have to separate being your soldier's friend and being your soldier's leader. Because when people feel like you're friends, then people are going to unintentionally, they're going to take advantage of it, and they're going to feel like they can get away with things, and they're going to feel like you should let them slide on certain things. But you can't do that. As a leader, you have to set the standard. You have to set the standard. You have to enforce the standard. So there's a fine line between being a leader and a friend. You've got to figure that out. So I learned that early. Fort Campbell, I learned that early because I had soldiers who were my friends. And it was very difficult for me to be a leader because I felt like I couldn't be a leader because they were my friends, and I didn't want to affect our relationship as friends. And I almost lost my rank because of that. So that was a lesson for me. And ever since then, I don't. I'm very professional with my soldiers. I may overall laugh and joke or whatever, but at the end of the day, I'm your NCO, and that's just what it is. I don't do favoritism or anything of that nature. I don't mess with soldiers. That is a big thing to me too. As a leader, I do not mess with soldiers in any type of sexual way. I don't do it. I do not do it. And I have no tolerance for anybody who does do it. If you are that type of NCO, get away from me. I find it very, anyway, past that part, let's get back to this video. All right, so we're going through, so now that I'm in this class leader position, I am the first one in the morning where we need to be at, and I'm the last one every single day. There's no excuse. I am the first one there. I am the last one to leave. All right. Day 2, we took the PT test. I did pretty decent. I ran like 15 minute, I did like the 70, 50, 70, 15, at the time. And I was hurting too. But, so I got past that part. So after that, now it's just, I need to focus. I need to mentally focus. So for the most part, throughout the, ALC, you pretty much learn more about the MOS that you have. So as a 92 Alpha, we're in logistics. So we learned more about our MOS. We didn't really learn about leadership. Some of the cons to ALC to me is we didn't learn more about being a leader, more about being a staff sergeant, more about writing counselings, more about writing NCOERs. And things like the important things that you should know as a staff sergeant, writing awards and things. We didn't learn any of that. All we did was learn about our MOS. And it was strictly from a textbook. We did every single day we did PowerPoints, and we would take notes or whatever the case is, and it was by book. Now, the instructors, who I love to death, the instructors, they don't create the plans. They have to follow what's in the regulation. So if it was up to them, of course we would have did different stuff. But everything for the most part, the whole entire class was by the book, PowerPoints, slideshows. We took notes. We took a test every Friday. Literally every Friday we took a test. And it was always stressful because on that Friday you would get your results back. So after we took the test and we would go down to the cafeteria and come back up, they would read out the grades. So what they used to do is they would say last name, and then they would tell you the grade. But what they noticed was people was literally there were students writing down the other people's names and the grades so that they can keep track of who's in the top 15, 10%. And they didn't want to do that. So they would just say the last four of your social security and what grade you got. So, and you knew what you got, but you didn't know what anybody else got. And that's how they did it. So, people were failing. People were failing some of the tests. So in school, if you fail a test, you get 2 or maybe 3 times to take a test. If you fail anything in a school, you'll get 2 to 3 chances before, you get kicked out. But if you fail, you automatically disqualify yourself from earning the commandant's list. I will repeat this again. So when you go to schools, you'll earn a 1059, right? And when you go to these military schools, the 1059 is your evaluation at the end of the term to show what how did you do in this class. All right. You have the opportunity to earn Distinguished Honor Grad, which means you got the highest grade. You were number 1 ranked in your class, or you can at least be in the top 20% of your class. So however many people in your class, do the math. Your goal is to get within the top 20%, and that's based on grades. At least that's how it used to be. So things changed for my class. All right. So people were clicking up. People hung out on the weekends. All of that I kept to myself. I was studying. I kept in contact with my friends, my loved ones back home, and I pretty much chilled to myself. Everybody, that very first week of school, I went out one time with a group of people. We went, we had alcohol. We had a room party. We went to somewhere out in Virginia, like downtown Virginia. We went to some club. I didn't even go in it. I just wasn't feeling it. And I remember I had my hair braided too, because I used to have so much hair that on the weekends I would get it braided. I might put a picture up in here somewhere. On the weekends I would get my hair braided, and then on the weekdays my hair I could mat it down, because African Americans, we can mat our hair down to be able to get away with it. I just made sure I had a slick edge up, but I eventually got it cut. But I was the only time I really hung out. Outside of that, I kept to myself. The only people that I hung with was my homegirl from Fort Stewart, Georgia, who I came here with. Like, we didn't come together like in the same car, but we came. We knew we was going to the school together, and we both had the goal of being in the top 20%. And then we ended up hanging with another person who was my homegirl too. And she's a drill sergeant now. Shouts out to her. High speed. So we were a clique. But we wasn't. Because when we were in school, we was doing our thing in school. On the weekends or whatever, we would go out to eat and things of that nature. But we weren't no clique to where it was obvious, to where that's the group right there, and that's that group right there. Everybody was hanging out all the time. The classroom environment started to get a little bit rowdy. There was a lot of talking, and people were losing their discipline. And the instructors kept pulling me and pulling the number 1 class leader, Hugo, to the side. I'm like, y'all need to get this class together. Me and Hugo had 2 different leadership styles, as I stated with you. When I'm in a leadership position, we're not friends. I'm your leader. So because of that, you can never say I'm playing favoritism. You can never say I'm taking advantage, or you will never feel like I owe you a favor. Hugo, on the other hand, was very friendly. She was mad cool. She had a bubbly personality, and she was very friendly, and she was friends with everybody. So it was extremely difficult for her to be able to enforce the standards, because she was cool with everybody. So that was the biggest difference between us two. And I remember the instructors was like, if anybody wants to know how you're doing so far, I remember the halfway point of the class, it was like, if anybody wants to know how they're doing so far, stay after class and I'll tell you about yourself. So I remember I stayed after class, and I talked to the instructor, and the instructor was like, when I was in there, the instructor was like, well, what's up? What you want? I was like, honestly, I just want to know, how am I doing? It was like, well, how do you think you're doing? I was like, honestly, I feel like I'm not doing anything. Because I am classroom leader number 2, I don't really get to input anything. I really don't get to do anything. I feel like I'm worried that I'm not able to display to you my leadership. I said, I also feel like a lot of people don't feel like they can come to me. I don't know if they feel intimidated or they feel like they can't talk to me, but nobody really comes to me, because nobody ever came to me. Whenever there was issues, they would always go to Hugo. Nobody really came to me, even though everybody knew I was a class leader. I didn't walk around frowning. I didn't walk around or nothing of that nature. You knew I wasn't about games. You knew I wasn't about games. So people didn't really come to me like that, but they would come to Hugo. And she was like, I don't see nothing wrong with how you lead it. Everybody leads differently, but I honestly don't see nothing wrong with that. But if you feel like that's an issue for you, then be more open. Go up to people and ask them how they're doing. Talk to them. Get to know them as people so that they know that you're a human being as well. If you feel like that. But honestly, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. As long as you are doing what you're supposed to do and you enforcing the standards, and they know that at the end of the day, you'll take care of business and take care of them, that's all that matters. So I was like, all right. So she was like, that's why I chose you and Hugo, because y'all are two opposites of each other. You are more stern, you don't play, and you serious about it. Hugo, on the other hand, she's a people person, which is a good leadership trait to have too, to be likable. Hugo is very likable. She can talk to a group of people and have a group of people like her. So y'all are the complete opposites, but both of y'all have the traits that make a complete leader. She was like, I put y'all together because I was in hopes that y'all two would learn from each other and be able to take what the other one doesn't have to make you better. So I was like, thank you. So I was like, I'm gonna work on that. So I talked to Hugo and I told Hugo that, and then Hugo started looking worried, because I'm worried, because I'm like, neither one of us are that, nor have we been doing that. So we both worried. So we tried to implement that, but overall we were who we were. So we went to the field because we had to help out the students that were in AIT. So we were able to pick what we wanted to do. Now at this point, the word's out that we are going to be ranked. It is not going to be the old 1059s that it used to be, as far as you either met the standards, you didn't meet the standards. Now you're literally getting ranked. It's been put out. That's what it's going to be. We're getting ranked 1 through 38 people in our classroom, and total soldier concept, so forth, so forth. So now the whole class is trying to get on now. At first, the class was being lackadaisical, but now everybody is trying to be high speed, and the environment started to get a little bit toxic. You had people doing shady, underhanded stuff, people trying to be cutthroat, all the stuff like that. But I never changed up who I was. From when I got there to all the way to, I was who I was. I didn't change, but people literally changed. You have people who are class clowns, people who are very chill and relaxed, now trying to be serious and trying to be super soldier. So anyway, people were volunteering because they wanted to actually be out in the field and do, the stuff with the soldiers. I was like, yo, you can put me on extra duty. You could just put me on extra duty. So we went out to the field. My job, me, my homegirl, and the other girl that I was telling y'all about, that you could say we were a clique, we were on the extra duty detail. Everybody else was being squad leaders for the AIT soldiers. They was out there getting ate up by mosquitoes and all that stuff like that. All we did was go get ice and make sure we filled up those ice containers at all the different sites. So we had access to the vans. They were out in the field, so nobody can leave the field, but we could because we had vans. So we would go out, go to the mall, get some food, get some drinks. Now, whenever I did that, I would make sure I brought drinks and stuff back for my whole entire class. You know what I'm saying? Like, to let y'all know, like, I'm here for y'all. Like, y'all my people. We played Op 4, where we attacked the camps and all that stuff. I had a blast. I feel like it was unnecessary, but I had a blast with that. And then we did PT every morning. Every morning, where we had to form up at for PT, was like almost a mile and a half away. I would run there. I made sure I was the first one there every morning. And that was it. We evaluated. So the leadership, so my role and Hugo's role were permanent. We were the class leaders. It was permanent. But the platoon sergeant and the squad leader positions changed out every week. Hugo made a schedule of who was going to be in what position, and they would get rated. Everybody handled the class differently. Some people were very lackadaisical with how they managed the class. Some people weren't. Whatever they did, we couldn't say don't do this. Like, they had to at least meet the standards as far as enforcing, but however they ran the class, how they ran it, we were in the background. All right. So you're getting evaluated. I can't tell you, like, you are who you are as a leader. So everybody had their own different leadership style, the different platoon sergeants who took over for the class, and the environment was different for each one. But As everybody started to, like I said, once it was solidified that we were getting the new 1059, we were the first class to get this new 1059 and be under this new system, people started changing. But I didn't experience any of that because I never really hung out with anybody like that. So anyway, we going through the class, we go through different things. I'm passing, I'm staying, like I'm scoring very high on these tests. And finally we get to we're getting to the end. The end is coming near. Anxiety is happening because you know that time is about to come. And you know that time is about to come. So they was like, they're gonna make the announcement who is in, you know, who made the commandant's list and so forth and so forth. So I remember overall throughout the entire class, I was who I was. I did not change. And halfway through the class, I remember the class they just was going overboard. And I remember the instructor pulled me and Hugo out in the hallway and was like, y'all need to get it together or y'all getting fired. This class represents y'all two. Y'all need to get it together. So from that day forth, I took over the class. Hugo, I love you. You did your thing, but we can't do it your way no more. We got to do it my way. So I went into the class. I went up to the front. I told everybody to sit down, and I told them what was up. Y'all are all NCOs. Y'all already understand what the standards are. The standards here are no different than what they were back at your duty station as far as being where you need to be, on time, right place, right uniform. Y'all over here getting upset because people are getting counseled for coming 5 minutes late. It doesn't matter if they was 30 seconds late. We enforce the standards. And I hold myself accountable for not doing it sooner. But now things are changing. I am going to enforce the standards. You're going to do what you're supposed to do, or you're going to be counseled for it. I was like, I told myself as soon as I got class leader, I couldn't be friends with none of y'all. I wasn't going to have a good time like the rest of y'all, because I knew that if I was to be friends with y'all, this time was going to come when y'all were going to start acting up and y'all were going to automatically assume that because I'm friends with you and we are buddy, that I didn't have to enforce the standards when it came to you. That's why I didn't hang with y'all. It wasn't that I'm trying to be antisocial, that I'm trying to be angry, that I'm trying to play a role and nothing like that. This is what it is. And it sucks that it has to be this way, but that's what it is. I'm enforcing the standards, and that's just what it is from here on out. If anybody has an issue, it will be rectified. If you're not where you need to be, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, it is going to be rectified. And then from then on out, that's what it was. I took over the class from that point forward. So anyway, fast forward. We got 2 days before graduation. We go to the auditorium. Instructor said, all right, before we go into this auditorium, we need to let y'all know how you're going to be seated, because you're going to be seated by the position that you earn. Are y'all ready? So everybody's sitting there. It's anxiety. I'm scared. My heart's beating. You know, what am I going to get? Am I at least going to be able to get in the top 20%? You know, was I being too hard? Did I not open up and be friendly enough for people to feel like I was a good leader? All this anxiety. My heart beating is quiet. And then next thing you know, instructor reads off the names. Sergeant Galashaw. I'm the first name. So the instructor says, Sergeant Galashaw. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little worked up, man, because I truly didn't think that this was going to happen. So he was like, Sergeant Galashaw. So as soon as she said my name, it just completely got quiet. It completely gets quiet because we're all in a circle around the instructor. And I'm like right there, and I'm sitting there, and I'm rocking, and I just can't take it. So she says the name, Sergeant Galashaw. So I'm sitting there, and I just couldn't believe it. She was like, Sergeant Galashaw, you're number one. And the whole area gets quiet. And I can just feel eyes stabbing me. Like I could feel negative energy and hatred of people who felt like I didn't deserve it. I could feel that energy. She names off my homegirl. She names off both my homegirls. So the little clique that we kind of did have, that little clique that we kind of had, where we went out to eat and we kept in contact with each other and we looked out for each other, we all made it. They were in the top 20 with me. And I just remember I felt like I needed to walk out. I needed to be by myself. I needed to revel in this on my own. I needed to be away from all of this. I needed to go somewhere, and I just need to revel in this and let it all hit me. but I couldn't. So I, it's just this excitement or whatever. And then we go into the auditorium and we all have to sit in the position that we sit. So of course I'm the one who's sitting first. So I'm just sitting and I just can't believe this. And I was speechless. I'm sitting there. I'm humbled. I'm in disbelief, and I'm nervous as hell. I'm scared, like something's gonna happen to me. I'm in disbelief. I'm humble, and I just remember, like, God, like, I came here just hoping that I could barely get into the top 20%, and I got number 1 out of 38 people, and I got it. From then on out, nobody in the class talked to me, except for my two friends. Outside of them, nobody in the class talked to me. Nobody congratulated me. Nobody said, good job, you deserved it, you earned it. People had like disgusting looks on their faces. You could tell people had attitudes. As we were going through the rehearsals, you were seeing grown individual NCOs sitting there with attitudes and stink faces because they weren't in the top 10 or the top 20%. And I mean, it just was what it was. It taught me a lot. It taught me a lot. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, in ALC to go to Staff Sergeant, I earned Distinguished Honor Grad. Out of 38 people, I was number 1 of 38. Sergeant Richard Gallishaw. And that, my friends, was me earning Distinguished Honor Grad. Peace. So overall, my advice to service members who are going to be attending ALC, you are evaluated on the total soldier concept. So it's not just about who has the highest grade in the class. That's not it. It's the total soldier concept. So if you do not know, when you log into AKL, you can go to ACT Army Career Tracker, and there's a tracker that shows what schools you should have, what military education, what civilian education, and so forth that you should have based on your rank. All right. When I went to ALC, I already had 2 degrees. I had 2 college degrees. I maxed out in civilian education. I almost maxed out in military education. I maxed out on correspondence courses. I met the criteria based on the ACT, the Army Career Tracker map for 92 Alpha. So I already met, if not exceeded, those standards. So when they were doing the evaluation on me, they had to take everything into account and consideration. So it wasn't just about my performance in class. It was also about my performance before I got there. So make sure that your ERB is updated. Make sure that you're following the Army Career Tracker. Like I said in one of my previous videos, education is important. Make sure that you are going to school. Take at least 1 class. It is important that you have self-development, because you are a leader. You're an NCO. You have soldiers who are looking to you. So if you're not on your job doing what you're supposed to do, how can you expect them to do that as well? So in my opinion, the reason why I earned Distinguished Honor Grad was because of the total soldier concept that I met. I met the criteria based on my career map on what I was supposed to be doing in regards to military education and civilian education before I even stepped foot there. And then on top of that, when I got there, y'all already know the story. But yeah, y'all have a good day. I'm about to go ahead and get this day started and put them in boots.